The idea of owning a Ferrari to most is an unattainable one, but it shouldn't be that way. I've shown you a few different times that cheap Ferrari ownership is possible, albeit it's not really all that cheap, but when it comes specifically to the Ferrari 360 cars, there are quite a few of them out there and they're really not all that expensive when you consider a new Corvette can easily eclipse $100,000. But the idea of owning a modern manual Ferrari, it's one that I wrote off a while ago. I've been on the hunt for a gated Ferrari 360, but the price premiums over the F1 cars is in my opinion just unjustifiable. If it was your money, would you pay an additional $50,000 to get a car with a factory manual gearbox? Keep in mind that the F1 transmission that most of these cars came with is virtually identical. There's just a bit of different external hardware that automates the shift, so why pay $50,000 more for a shift lever? Now here's the thing, these cars are all the same, no matter what transmission option your car came with. Everything exists for you to install a manual gear selector in your Ferrari, as I'll show you in a moment. And everyone knew this, so years ago, a few savvy Ferrari enthusiasts ordered up all the factory parts necessary to build their own manual swap, and well, they made it happen. And when I say they, maybe it was 7 or 8 people. Like, these parts aren't mass produced, and when Ferrari sells them out, the only other way to get them is from a used parts dismantler. And as you could imagine, all the used manual swap parts are long gone. When new used ones become available, they're priced sky high, and the probability of getting every component to create a kit is as likely as my stepmom fixing her own car without getting stuck. The good news is we live in a world where anything can be accomplished if you're persistent enough and not a politician, and that means that DIY auto enthusiasts have inspired companies like Dr. S to create a gated manual conversion kit, the first of its kind to exceed original factory quality at a price that makes sense and was made with the DIYer in mind. And I can't believe they figured this out, but you don't have to remove your transmission to install this kit. It's really an unbelievable feat. All you need is some hand tools, a jack, and a couple jack stands, and you could install this gated manual shifter in your very own Ferrari 360 or 430 at home. You could also get professional installation, but the fact that you do not have to remove your transmission will mean that the job is much simpler, meaning less labor hours for a professional tech, and meaning if you're an avid DIYer, you'll be able to accomplish this at your home garage. Now, the development of this kit has been a couple years in the making and is finally ready for the public. You can order it at the Dr. S website, which I'm going to drop down in the description box. But right now, let me show you around the kit really quick, and then we're going to install this on my Ferrari 360 Spider. I'm sure you already know the purpose of the shift tower in the 360. This is the centerpiece of the entire kit, and it gives you that gated manual experience. What's really cool is that Dr. S gives you a few different customization options. First off, you can go with an anodized style shift knob, which really matches the interior of the 360 cars, or you can go with the classic polished style shift knob. Also, you can tell Dr. S how you want it to sound as you roll through the gears. I have mine set up to give you that classic Ferrari thunk, but they could change it to where you have virtually no sound as you roll through the gears. In the middle, we have our manual actuator. This is going to bolt on the side of the transmission, and it's one of the biggest differences between the F1 cars and the manual cars. This actuator has these little arms on the end that connect shift cables from the arms to your shift tower here, and that's what allows you to manually row through the gears. Currently on the F1 car, there's no arms here. This is connected to a bunch of hydraulic lines and a computer that actuate the gears for you. And our last main component is the clutch pedal and master cylinder, which we're going to begin the installation of today. And while you can really install the kit in any order you wish, I think starting with the clutch pedal is the best place because you can still move the car around in the short term. Once you pull the actuator off the side of your gearbox, or you take your F1 shifter out of the center console, well, the car is going to be inoperable until the kit is fully installed. And once it's fitted, you can have the gated manual experience at way less than half the cost of any other solution, while reaping the huge resale benefits that come along with it. Especially on Ferrari 430 cars, there are specialty auction sales showing over a $50,000 price premium with aftermarket conversion kits. There's only one problem with these auction sites, and that's that they're quite pompous. You see, I recently submitted my C6 Corvette to be listed on one of these sites. This loaded one-owner car that's traveled near 260,000 miles, and the auction site responded with these 3 letters. Now, I know there's a market for this car because I've received dozens of emails from viewers asking to buy it, but I want to be fair in offering it up for sale, and for a second I thought I was out of options. That was until I found Mods and Miles, the enthusiast car marketplace that won't discriminate against your car if it has mods and miles. It's the place for real enthusiasts who actually enjoy using their cars. Mods and Miles is currently running a live auction for my 250,000-mile C6 and my 100,000-mile Ferrari 612 Scaglietti. Check these out at the link in the description box, and while you're there, make sure you enter to win the C63 AMG giveaway. My friend Alex from Legit Street Cars is repairing and modifying this slick V8 AMG and giving it away to one of you. And it's totally free to enter. All you got to do is go to modsandmiles.com, create an account, and you'll be automatically entered to win. And you can earn bonus entries to this giveaway every day when you share Mods and Miles with your friends on social media. And of course, you got to check out some of the other cool listings that they've got for sale. Okay, these are my cars too. This mint last model year Maserati Coupe manual and my super fast McLaren MP412C with almost every single carbon option spec'd, even some of the rare ones like these carbon back seats. Mods and Miles is truly the new school automotive marketplace for guys like you and me that drive our cars and not their odometers. Check out modsandmiles.com or just hit that link in the description. While you're there, don't forget to enter the C63 AMG giveaway and throw your hat in the ring. Try and take home my Corvette or my McLaren over at modsandmiles.com. You can begin things by disassembling your front trunk. You'll see where all the fasteners sit in this back plate here. Go ahead, remove them all. You're also going to have to take off a little bit of the sides here to access some of the screws. I've got this really nice aftermarket stereo that will make our job a little bit more cumbersome, but it shouldn't be a big deal. Once all the fasteners are out, this will simply pop up and out, and you're going to have access to this little plate back here. Let me show it to you. We look from the corner right here. See that gold block off plate? That's where our master cylinder is going to bolt into. With the plate off, you can see in the center of the cabin there, that's exactly where our master cylinder is going to mount. Here I've got our clutch pedal and master cylinder, and I just went and separated the bolt from the arm here. Another reason this is a DIY friendly kit is because every single piece of hardware comes pretty much pre-assembled. You're gonna have to take it apart a little bit, obviously, to fit it in the car, but it basically shows you exactly where everything needs to be here. On our master cylinder, we've got a spacer here that'll allow us access to the fluid reservoir that's built in, and even down to the banjo bolt we get two crush washers in between here. So this is loose. We're going to need to tighten everything, but it's all set up and ready to be put right in the car. Fitting our master cylinder in here is going to be a tight fit, so to make our job as easy as possible, I'll go ahead and take this bolt out. I'm also going to take the cap off the reservoir, and I don't want to mess up our rubber boot here when we go and install it. So I'll just take the nut off the end and pull the boot off. Also, let's go ahead and take off the banjo fitting here along with the two crush washers. Be sure not to lose one like I almost just did. This is something we should have done from the start, but it's not too late yet. You're going to want to take off the cap here that covers your brake fluid reservoir. It's going to give you nice access to where we're installing our master cylinder, and it's where we're going to end up filling the reservoir from when it's installed. So take the bare reservoir. You want all the hardware off except for this little spacer at the end here, and then reach in through here, get it set right in place. The bottom bolt is pretty simple to get in. There's a ton of access on the bottom side. This top bolt is in a really, really tight spot. What I've found works really good is if you have one of these. This is just a crow's foot, and I'm not even putting it on a ratchet. I'm just going to use it by hand. With our bolt snug back in place, it's really important that we seal things off here because we don't want to get any crud in our fluid reservoir. You can see I've already got the cap back in place, and next we just have to get our banjo fitting put back where it belongs. So I've got it sitting here. Remember, there's two crush washers. Threading this in by hand takes a little bit of acrobatics. You can see I'm positioned here in the front trunk. I'm just reaching one hand in under here. I'm using my right hand to go on top. From here, just hand thread things. Go ahead and leave it as is. We don't have to worry really about any crud getting in there now. We'll run the lines here later. Right now, let's move into the interior. Climbing into the interior of the car, if we look at the pedal box now, and we look up and over where we were working on the other side of the car, you can see exactly where our master cylinder hangs out of, which is pretty cool. We're going to slip the boot back over it so we don't misplace it, and then we're going to go a little higher up where this shaft is that holds all the pedals. We've got to disassemble that, pull our brake pedal out of place, and then make a little bit of room for that third pedal. As you're probably already noticing from the first step in this swap is how pretty straightforward it is. All the chassis from Ferrari, whether it was a manual car or an F1 car, well, they're all the same. All the areas where we need to run our cables, the area where we need to bolt our master cylinder, like they already exist. You don't have to cut any holes or do anything that's going to devalue your car. There's really no heavy modification here. All right, I'm just going to slip the boot over the master cylinder, or the clutch pump shaft here, so we don't lose it. Then I got the little nut that came off of it originally. To get the brake pedal removed, we're gonna have to slide it off the shaft here. That bolt is what holds the entire shaft together. It looks like a 10mm, and it is. So I've got a 10mm ratcheting wrench up here. Should help us at least get it started. Let's see. Yep. All right. There's our bolt. Behind the brake pedal is this shaft here, and it's held on with a bolt that has a nut on this side. I got a little ahead of myself here, but I unbolted this bracket that's holding the brake pedal position sensor right on top right here. It just held in with 113mm bolt. When I did that, it allows me to pull the brake pedal all the way out, so it's no longer being held on the rear shaft there. It's just being held on the top one. And now all we got to do is get this entire shaft slid over so that we can get the brake pedal out of the car, and then we can put the clutch pedal and the brake pedal on the shaft. At this point, the brake pedal moves all the way freely. We want it positioned upward so that it doesn't interfere with the bracket back here while we're trying to pop the shaft out. Now the shaft can either go left or right, it doesn't matter, it slides either way. Getting the shaft out, it's a little bit of a trickier situation. So I went ahead, I used a little bit of penetrating oil on either side of the shaft. You could see exactly where it slides in, just to break up any corrosion if there is any. And now, to make the job as simple as possible, and pull. Yep, perfect. Now, right here's our plastic piece, and our brake pedal should just slide right off. There it is right there. Here's our brake pedal, and you can see the clutch pedal from the Dr. S kit. It matches it darn near perfect. This looks like a factory part, and this will slide on that shaft in place of that plastic piece that we just removed. But before we go and reinstall everything, we have to modify our brake pedal to match that of a factory manual car. You see, manual transmission brake pedals are actually a little bit shorter, and it's basically the same size as we have here, just symmetrically opposite. I've got a right angle to attempt to help me draw a very straight line, albeit all of the edges on this are not straight, but we should be able to get it relatively close. Let's see what that looks like. I'm pretty sure that this is a Ferrari authorized tool right here. This is like a cutting wheel that I got at a Toys R Us for 20 bucks. I mean, they literally sell these things everywhere, and it's something that most DIYers are gonna have. This is what I'm gonna use to cut my brake pedal. Mind you, if you got a miter saw, you're gonna get a straighter cut, more power to you. However, what I've done on my pedal is leave myself a little bit more room on the side, just gives me more margin for error. But one big thing you're gonna wanna do no matter what saw you use is try and find an aluminum blade, or in my case, an aluminum cutting wheel. When I say aluminum, I mean a cutting wheel made for aluminum. These just have a little bit of a finer blade, and they're gonna cut things a bit smoother and just give you a nice cut to work with once we have to shape it. Now, pretty much every part of this swap is reversible. You can go back to F1 at any time. The part that's not reversible is this part right here. Once you cut your brake pedal, it's not gonna go back into 2 and look the same ever again. So if you don't like the idea of cutting your factory brake pedal, there seems to be plenty of them used online at places like eBay for sale between around $200 to $300. So it's not a rare part, and it's not super expensive. I'm wondering how many comments I'm gonna get about this. Looks pretty good, actually. Look at this line.
I switched from a cutting wheel now to a grinding wheel.
And here is what our brake pedal looks like after it has been shaped. And I think the shape of it is exactly what we're looking for here. We got the little round in the bottom, little round on top. I am the least artistic person I know, and I think this looks pretty darn straight right here. Now, obviously, we have the area where it's all ground down. It's really polished. But if we just get something and rough this up, it should match the rest of our brake pedal, and it should look awesome installed. All right, let's go ahead. I've got a wire brush here. We're going to try this and see if it will dull up our area. Here are the pedals next to each other, and I think the shapes match each other very nice. These are now ready to be installed in the Ferrari, and just like with our master cylinder, all the hardware necessary to put the clutch pedal in place has already been assembled before you get it. So you can see these nylon washers on the side here, the bolt that runs through. There's also a bolt in the rear here. However, there is a little bag of hardware, and one of the pieces that was in there was this spring. This needs to be hooked up before you install the clutch pedal in the car, and it needs to be sitting in this orientation. And again, since all F1 and manual chassis are virtually identical, everything is already here from the factory. See that little hole right there? That's exactly where our clutch spring is going to hook into. This is super cool. We officially have 3 pedals installed in our Ferrari 360, and I gotta tell you, it's really not all that difficult. This is definitely a DIY job. You're just dealing with a bit of limited space underneath here. Now I want to show you something really cool. If we look up, you can see in between the brake and the clutch pedal is a little bracket. See this bracket right here? Let me go ahead and pull it down. Right there, that's a clutch pedal position sensor, and that rests right on the hump right here on the clutch pedal, and it works in the same exact fashion that our brake pedal position sensor sits. See, this has a little plunger. It sits on the brake pedal. When the brake pedal is up, the brake lights are off. When the brake pedal goes down, the brake lights go on. But the big question here is, if this was an automatic car, where's the plug that we plug into the sensor? And like I've been saying in all video, all these cars are the same from the factory. All the plugins exist. If you look in that corner, look right up there. Do you see it? That's our clutch pedal position wire. There it is. So this is just gonna go. It should just plug, yep, look right in. There we go. I am so thrilled doing this installation. The fact that we're gonna have a gated manual Ferrari 360, it's like a dream of mine. And like I told you earlier, I never thought I would be able to have one of these. The prices are just outrageous, but the Dr. S kit has made it really attainable for the enthusiast. If you're enjoying the install process of this kit, make sure you hit that like button, and also make sure you're subscribed to the channel so when I release the next video in this series, you'll get notified and you won't miss it. Next up, we're gonna pull out that center console, which I've done before. It's really simple. It's just a couple screws. We're going to install that gated manual shift tower. Then we'll run our shift cables to the actuator, which will hook up on the transmission. And then we've got to run a couple hydraulic lines to that master cylinder that we installed today. That'll give our clutch the hydraulic pressure necessary to be able to row through those gears. Of course, I want to hear your feedback down in the comments. What do you think about the Dr. S gated manual conversion kit from what you've seen in this video? And the fact that you don't have to remove the transmission in your Ferrari to install it. That's my favorite part by far. Now guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching today, and I'll catch you very soon.